Welcome to the 202nd edition of Find That Pod. Here are this week's recommendations. Great Mysteries of Physics. Host Miriam Frankel delves into some of the great mysteries still puzzling the world's top physicists in this new series from The Conversation. This podcast will take you on a mind-blowing journey from the smallest to the largest conundrums, exploring curled-up dimensions, consciousness, and parallel universes on the way. What kind of topics should you expect? Well, it's a new podcast, so there are only 2 episodes to bite into. Still, if the first 2 conversations about whether time is an illusion and whether the universe is fine-tuned for life to exist are any indication, the show will be an excellent resource for anyone that likes to ponder the big questions. 3 Moves Ahead. 3 Moves Ahead is the leading strategy game-themed podcast on the internet. Every week, a panel of knowledgeable gamers with strong opinions meets to discuss the strategy and war games of the day, design issues and games in the wider world. If this is the type of podcast you're into, you're in luck. They have a massive backlog of episodes. Dynamite Doug. For 50 years, Douglas Latchford was the world's premier expert on Cambodian art, supplying priceless statues to Western museums and rich collectors. But his fame masked a dirty secret. Douglas had colluded with the Khmer Rouge, a genocidal regime, to loot Cambodia's entire cultural heritage. As the country descended into bloodshed, Douglas stole almost everything. A network of art world cronies was on hand to help him sell these blood statues, including a senior curator at the Metropolitan Museum in New York. When a band of art sleuths get on their case, Douglas and his co-conspirators mount a rearguard action to save themselves. This is a story the art world doesn't want told. Unlike the Elgin marbles and other brewing controversies over stolen art, our story isn't ancient history. This tale is happening now. Print is dead. Long live print. I must admit that I have a soft spot in my heart for magazines. And though they are a dying breed, I still fondly look back on the days when there wasn't a week that I didn't buy at least a few magazines, and marveled at how Wired magazine approached the thickness of a book pre-dot-com bubble crash. So that's why when I ran across this podcast, I knew I had to listen to it. Print is Dead is a podcast about magazines and the people who made and make them, and it is perfect for an audience of designers, editors, photographers, illustrators, writers, and publishers. Name that news? Join Odyssey News on a fun romp through this week's news with hosts Zach Clark and Mark Menard, who will have you scratching your head as you play along. Can you name that news? Find out wherever you get your podcasts.